Adobe stock dropped over 7% today, and many believe the main reason is because its acquisition of Figma might be blocked. But is that all there is to the story? Let's find out in today's episode. So if we take a closer look, we can see Adobe right now sitting at $320, down roughly 7.6% on today. Year to date, the stock is down 4.86%, which is pretty interesting compared to the rest of the market. We have seen a lot of tech stocks pulled up year to date. And we can see in the past year, unfortunately, the stock is still down over 31%. Like I mentioned today, we did see a lot of reports that, hey, the main reason for Adobe coming down is because there are a lot of reports that its Figma acquisitions might face antitrust lawsuits and might end up being blocked. So for those that are not familiar, Adobe on September 15th mentioned that they were going to acquire Figma. I want to explain a little bit more about Figma, but first I want to read the report that they released when they announced that acquisition. So they did entered a definite merger agreement to acquire Figma, a leading web-first collaborative design platform, for approximately $20 billion in cash and stock. They do mention that Figma's mission is to help teams collaborate visually and make designs accessible to all. They also did mention that this would be approximately half cash and half stock in that $20 billion, and that the transaction is expected to close in 2023. We all know that Adobe is a huge monster in the design platform world, right? So one of the biggest pushback here is that Adobe is already the main player here. And for them to kind of go out and buy a competitor in this kind of design collaborative market, it goes against competition, right? Well, I do believe that is true because not all design platforms are created the same, right? And the great thing is Figma earlier in 2022 explained the differences between Adobe and Figma. And for example, if you're doing something like photo editing, Adobe's Photoshop would be amazing, right? That's the no-brainer to use. If you're using detailed illustrations, Adobe Illustrator is the platform to use. But if you're looking for the best tools for UX design, so if you're creating some form of application, if you're creating some form of great website or some form of UI, UX design, Figma is the platform for you. So this is where I believe the huge kind of pushback is going to come from regulators, where yes, Adobe was already the leader in all these other places, but it was not the leader in the UX design. But now the best way to, while Adobe does have a kind of UX design platform, it hasn't really kind of taken off too much. So instead, they're purchasing Figma to kind of fit that need that they want. And if they do that, they're going to continue to become the leaders in this space. And I do believe that is what these regulators are afraid of. You know, I'm not an Adobe shareholder, but this is a company with a market cap of $146.7 billion. And this acquisition of $20 billion, I don't know why, to me, it screams pretty expensive. If you are an Adobe shareholder, let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts? There are reports, I do believe in one of the CNBC articles, that Adobe believes that this transaction or Figma will bring about $400 million in annualized revenue per year. But still, in my opinion, I think it's a little bit on the pricier side. But like I mentioned, Adobe's stock price dropped over 7.6% today. And to be honest, I don't think it has much to do with this Figma deal. Before we go any further, I want to thank you for watching. And I need your help to reach my goal of 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and thumbs up. Also, if you want some fantastic insight into the semiconductor industry, join my other channel, Semiconductor Investing and More, where I use my electrical engineering background to break down the semiconductor market. Finally, I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode. I do believe it has probably more to do with the overall market. We did see a lot of companies down today. For example, Shutterstock was down 2.3%. Even big tech like Microsoft was down 2%, right? So the overall market was down. I do believe that's a big portion of the company's stock price dropping today. The other thing I want to say is there were reports yesterday of Autodesk. They did report earnings, and unfortunately, Autodesk earnings caused the stock to drop roughly 13%. If we take a closer look at some highlights or headlines from various news companies, they do mention that one of the main reasons was that guidance for Autodesk is light. And even though Autodesk and Adobe hit different markets, I do believe it kind of there is some worries about businesses maybe slowing down some of the sales. So I do believe for Adobe stock price right now, it's not fully due to the Figma acquisition deal maybe falling through. While that might be part of it, I do believe it's also just the general market seeing a very red day today. And finally, the Autodesk, again, even though they're not in similar markets, I want to say it can kind of show a little bit, Autodesk earnings might have shown a little bit more of what the business side is seeing for the upcoming year in forms of sales for type of SaaS spending, right? So I do believe some of the fear from Autodesk might be trickling down on Adobe. If you are an investor of Adobe, though, they are expected to report earnings on March 15th of 2023, so about 2 to 3 weeks from now. If you guys did enjoy this episode, let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you guys want me to cover Adobe stock. This is not one that I normally cover, but I do want to continue to expand the different stocks that we cover in this channel. So take care, have a good day, and see you next time.